Hello everyone, welcome to your team news ahead of Gameweek 27. It's me again. I was just saying to Neale, someone was saying that they think I'm going to be in their wardrobe the amount that I'm popping up on these videos this week. This is my last one of the week, so if you're sick of me, you haven't got many more to put up with. But how are you, Neale? You doing all right?
Not too bad, yeah. Busy day today because we've got a Friday deadline, so this will have a small shelf life, so I'll try and get through it as quick as I can.
Yes, nice. Let's get straight into it. We're going straight into the first game, which in true FPL style, it's only Southampton, Norwich. Only FPL managers probably really care about this, other than other than Southampton and Norwich fans. But what's the news here? Because Livramento owners, we need him. Is he going to play?
Well, that's probably the biggest selection headache that Aston Huttle's got. He played last weekend, of course, because Romain Perraud was out with COVID, but he's now back. So it's a 3 from 2 for the fullback positions, you would think. The one addition to that comment is that Walker Peters has very much been the man in form over the past couple of months. While Livramento's been out, Walker Peters, of course, can play on both flanks, but he's been excellent, really, Walker Peters. And you would probably think the securest of the three. I wouldn't say completely nailed. There will be some rotation, I think, between the three of them for the rest of the season. But it's now a question of whether Perraud, who was improved himself, gets back in over Livramento. I suspect not. My inkling would be not, because he's just returned to training in midweek. He'd been self-isolating before that. So off the back of a good win against Everton, the first clean sheet in quite a while, then I'll side with Livramento starting. But there's sort of divisive opinion on that. There's a lot of Southampton fans on forums who think it'll be the opposite way around. It'll be Walker.
90%. I saw somewhere.
I saw the different. I went on the Saints forum as well, and I wasn't quite that unanimous a verdict. But Hampshire Live journalists, for example, predicting that Livramento would start. So there is an element of doubt, unfortunately, to it. He's not as nailed as he was at the start of the season, Livramento, but. It's the Friday night game, so you never know. We might get a bit of a heads up.
If we do get a bit of a heads up and Livramento's not in the squad, that could force me into a free hit, which is ridiculous to think. Well, I'll be down to 10 with no bench and Foden, who we'll talk about in a bit, who I think could potentially miss out as well. So, and I'm on a hit, so I can't really afford anyone to miss out this week. So yeah, we're kind of see. But yeah, anyway, any other news with Saints?
Yes, there is. Let me just recap that. I don't think there's much new. They've still got Lianco Teller and Alex McCarthy out, and I think that's it. I think Aston Hull didn't reveal any fresh concerns. So as far as we're aware, everyone's good to go.
Yep. And Norwich
have got Tim Krul back. He's been out for a while with a shoulder problem. He's been back in training, and Dean Smith was saying this morning that he's now got a decision to be made over whether he comes back in over Angus Gunn. Lucas Rupp, Jakob Sorensen also back in training. So it's just Adam Eder and Andrew Omar-Bamadeli who are out. Everyone else is fit, as far as we're aware.
Very good. Okay, Leeds next. Always depressing part of the team news, hearing their various concerns, and no better news for them that I can see.
Not really. I mean, they did get Llorente and Robin Koch past fit this morning. They had minor problems from last week, but the big three are still out: Bamford, Phillips, and Cooper. Phillips and Cooper are meant to be back next week, but that's been put back again. This is a recurring theme for Leeds this season.
Spine of the side.
And yeah, Bamford, we're getting now to the point where Bielsa's saying he'll probably be back before the end of the season. So that doesn't look good. He's not going to be back anytime soon. He's not even in training or back on the grass, so he's a while off yet. Other than that, I don't think there's anything new. I guess it's whether Bielsa would dare to bench Rafinha again, because he started him against Liverpool and he had another shocker, really. Some fans and journalists calling it his worst yet in a Leeds shirt. So,
wow.
Having thought it was a very unlikely prospect about 2 weeks ago that he would be benched, now it wouldn't be a huge shock if he was a substitute again, because they've got the option of putting Dallas out there on the right if he wants a bit more defensive solidity, or James can play there as well. So What a fall from grace he has. He still scored last weekend, mind, off the bench against United, but he's not himself of late.
No, absolutely. And what do you make of Spurs? I mean, Conte's apologised for his kind of meltdown that he had after the Burnley match. So he's saying that he's an emotional character and he can get a bit carried away. But they've got some injury problems as well, particularly in the middle of the park.
Yeah, Bentancur's out with I think it's an ankle problem, initially reported as a thigh. And Oliver Skip's out too, along with Tanganga. So you would think Højbjerg and Winks in there. And then the rest of it is how many changes he wants to make, because I think it was an unchanged team, I believe, from the City to Burnley games. And it's 3 games in a week. So I suspect he will freshen it up here and there. Reguilón's back. He had COVID and was on the bench, I think, in midweek. So he could come back in for this one. Lucas Moura as well might be considered for this because he's had back-to-back benching. So there'll be a handful of changes, I think. But Conte has gone on record before to say he's got a handful of undroppables, and they are Kane, Son, and Romero. So expect those all start.
Yep, nice. Interesting. The captaincy between Leeds and between Spurs versus Leeds and Burnley is going to be an interesting one this week.
Yeah.
Where are you leaning? Spurs player or?
It was Kane, because I'm on a free hit, so it's going to be him. I mean, the midweek slightly put me off, but Burnley are in very good defensive nick at the moment, and Leeds are not. So I think it'll be Kane. Weghorst might still persuade me, but it's the 2 fixtures thing, isn't it? It's swaying people's heads when it really shouldn't. You know, Weghorst, who's looked brilliant, still got a very modest shot count, I think, since he arrived. And I don't think, I would be captain him in either of the single games. So why does 2 bites of the cherry make a difference? But come 6:15, I'm sure I'll be switching the armband from Kane.
Because we're suckers for the 180 minutes, Neil. That's the only reason, isn't it?
Yep.
Okay, so away from Leeds with not so good news, but to Brentford with really good news. What's Brentford's good news? I'm sure everyone can guess.
Even against my mob, I'll be pleased to see Christian Eriksen back, who has been confirmed as being in the squad for this game. He's going to make it onto the pitch as well at some point, according to Thomas Frank. Almost certainly from the bench, you would think, after so long out. He's been playing for the under-23s recently and claimed true to form a couple of assists in the Monday friendly he played against, I think it was Rangers. So, straight back into it, 2 assists from set players as if he'd never been away.
Yeah.
And he's an interesting one to watch for Gameweek 30 because they'll have a guaranteed fixture then. If you're on a free hit that week, I'll not be, but a few people might be on a free hit. So he's someone to monitor form-wise before then. So he's back, as is Ivan Toney as well, who's shaking off a calf problem. And Thomas Frank was saying now he's got his strongest squad available for pretty much the first time this season. So everyone's pretty much back.
No excuses. Yep. And your team, Newcastle?
Yes, it's a big one. It's a bit of a relegation 6-pointer. So we've got Newcastle got Trippier, Ritchie, and Wilson still out. St. Maximum's going to be a late call. Now you may have seen a photo of him in Monaco as of yesterday, which doesn't bode well for the weekend.
What's he doing over there?
Well, apparently, according to how he's been getting the best possible treatment. He's got a physio over there from his time in France. He's personal, trusted physio. He's been getting some intense treatments, but I still think this has got to be in some doubt. His involvement this weekend.
You're a very rich man if you're Sir Maximan's physio.
Yeah, I'm sure he is. I think he's very well rewarded for his for sticking with us for so long. And he's a sort of 50-50, I think. Better news from Ryan Fraser, who's returned to training this week. Manquillo back as well in training, but not 100% fit. So he could be mine and yours favourite right back, Emil Kraft, who could be playing again for the interim.
Yep. Over from your team to my team, Brighton. Really poor result for us against Burnley. Absolutely smashed by them. Yeah. Veltman in the back 4. That was always going to lead to problems, I think. How are we shaping up this week?
Yeah, very, very un-Brighton like that because they're generally in tightly fought games, draw specialists. It was a real hammering last week. So they've got Lewis Dunk back, which is good. He'll come straight in, I'm sure, after suspension. Webster's out, or very likely to be out. Same with Mwetwu. This one's going to be a bit too soon for those two. Other than that, Potter said they were pretty much injury-free. However, he did drop the bomb that there was a bit of illness in the camp. And then when asked for more details, cited some medical confidentiality. So whenever we've heard that recently, the COVID alarm bells start ringing. So I wouldn't be surprised if they've got 1 or 2 coronavirus cases there that Potter's not letting on. So there might be some surprises on the team sheet on Saturday.
Interesting, yeah. And I just put a picture of Gerrard in with blah, 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 because I asked you if anything of interest came from his press conference, and you said babble, no team news. So I take it nothing to report.
No, it might come out in the press section later when there's loads of embargoed stuff that'll maybe come out tonight, but that'll be too late for us fantasy managers because the deadline's tonight.
Yep.
We know that Nakamba's out long term, and we know that Konsa's back from suspension. Traore had been ruled out for a couple of weeks or a few weeks, about a fortnight ago, so he might be back. But we're none the wiser as to the rest of the team news. Most of the conversation was around Villa's lack of form at the moment.
Yeah, I know.
And what they plan to do about it. So I'm afraid I've got no fresh injury news for you from Villa.
Okie doke. Next game is Palace. Palace against Burnley. Burnley carrying the hopes of so many managers and richly rewarded us all over the last game, which is amazing, isn't it? Two wins. A big win against Brighton, no one expected, and then a win to Neale against Spurs, who've just beaten City. It was quite incredible for anyone who went hard on the Burnley players, because it pretty much all delivered. No matter who you got, apart from Cornet, they all delivered. But speaking of Cornet, he's a doubt again, isn't he?
He is. Yeah, if you'd gone early like Fabio did, even earlier, which was the first double game week, was it 22 when
Pope,
got
Pope
2 clean sheets then as well. Yeah,
I know. Yeah.
You've done handsomely. So we know what's going to happen this week. They'll concede in both games, and Weghorst will get injured. But injury-wise, that we do know about, Cornet, as you say, is a doubt. Dyche used the classic phrase "touch and go." So whenever he says that, then we think it's going to be more touch than go. So he's a 50-50. Could be back for the second game, of course. Vidvin and Goodmanson are still out. Vidvin's on the grass, but not quite ready yet. Charlie Taylor's back, which is interesting, as is Ashley Westwood. So Eric Peters, who's the cheapest route into that Burnley defence, I think 4.2 years. People might have been tempted by him. You would think Dyche wouldn't upset a defence that's been in such good form. I think they've kept 4 clean sheets in 6 since Taylor got injured. But Taylor was the first choice. Peters only got in off the back of an injury, unlike Roberts. Loughton was dropped, I think, form-wise, and Roberts got in. Peters only got in because Taylor was injured. So it'll be interesting to see what he does. You'd think he'd favour momentum and the form players over a hitherto regular, but you never know. Same with Westwood, I think, going back in for there. But other than that, the big guns, the big fantasy targets, nothing reported from those other than Cornet. So nothing on Weghorst, Pope, me. Tarkowski came back from COVID on Wednesday as well, so he's fine.
People sweating on the injury status of Livramento and Peters. It's a beautiful time.
What a world we're living
in. I know, absolutely. And Palace?
Palace, they've got 2 absentees, one of which you'll not be surprised to hear is Nathan Ferguson.
One day,
and the other...
one day we'll see him. I'll be so happy.
Before I leave this job, I want to see him in action. And update his entry on the injuries and bans database. So he's out, as is Joel Ward. So Klein will continue at right back. Nothing on Guaita that I saw. I'll look more into that in the next 3 hours. But Vieira said that only 2 players were out, and it was Ward and Ferguson. Guaita missed out on the matchday squad in midweek. He came off against Chelsea with, I think, pain behind the knee. So we assume, if we're taking Vieira's word for it, that he's fine. But the flag remains on him, I think, in the absence of any conclusive information. So there's still a bit of a doubt there about him. But other than that, they're all good.
Yeah, something's weird with him, isn't it? Kind of in and out of the team, Butland coming in and out.
Yeah, not the first time, is it?
No, absolutely. Okay, United against Watford next. Josh King. Any news on Josh King? That's what everyone wants. That's what people care about.
I can't wait to get rid of him.
I've got rid of him.
He's gone this week in the free-hit team, but I can't wait to transfer him out. He's he looks like he's fine, which is, as I saw a shout out to Prop Joe on Twitter. He put up a tweet recently saying bad news for Kings owners. He's fit for we assume he's fit anyway. He's been back in training, and he took a knock to the back in midweek. Hodgson said it was an aggravation of something he had before, but he's since trained, so we think he's fine. João Pedro and Kutia are also back. They missed out the last two with injuries, so they're back in. And I think they're actually fully fit. I think only Nkulu, who's out, who's the absentee, I think he's the only one who's injured. So yeah, King's fit, but how much longer he can stay in that team off the back of his drought remains to be seen, because Hodgson did say it was part injury and part tactical, that withdrawal, with Couture sort of impressing in training. So I wouldn't be counting on a King start this week, even if he is fit.
He's got a decent-ish record against Man U. I think he's got 5 goals against them, something like that, in his career.
Yeah, well, they battered him, didn't they, in the reverse fixture back in when was it, October or something?
Oh, of course, yeah. 3 of those goals were in that. Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
So I don't think we'll see the same thing again with Hodgson at the helm, but
no,
it'll be a much tighter affair.
Yeah, of course. He got the hat trick. Yeah. Okay, and Manchester United.
United, 2 players out that we know of. McTominay is ill and Cavani's still got a groin problem. So that does, you think, mean that Ronaldo's still up top? I know there's alternatives. Rashford can play through the middle, for example. But they have got, I think, 8 days after this one to recover, because they're out of the FA Cup. And it's the Manchester derby a week on Sunday. So maybe they'll push them one more time, the likes of Bruno and Ronaldo, before they get a bit of a breather. But a few names impressing in midweek off the bench. So Elanga came on and did very well. Matic came on and looked like the Matic of old as well. So there may be a few changes this weekend, even if they aren't enforced ones, because the subs did better than the starters in Madrid.
Yep. Surely Elanga's like the first time on your bench if you're free hitting and you're not playing 5 in midfield.
Yeah, definitely.
Yep. Okay, another big game this week. Big game for free hitters is Everton versus Man City. Let's start with the home team, who are Everton. They're getting a few back. They're looking a little bit stronger. But will they play?
They are, yes. Damari Gray's back, as is Doucouré. Lampard's still not sure whether they'll start yet, because they've been out. Doucouré's been out a long time, like 5 weeks. And he said with Gray that he has to be sure that the physical intensity's there, because they're playing City, so you really need to be at your top of your game. So maybe he was pointing us in the direction of benchings for those two, maybe. Godfrey's still out, and I think Delph's still out, but other than that, I don't think there's anything to report.
Okay, and this is the big one. So lots of free hitters are going to be in the chat, wanting to know who you think is going to start for Manchester City. They've got Jesus and Grealish back, which is interesting.
So.
Yeah, you did your predicted lineup on Wednesday. Your predicted lineup was Ederson, Walker, Diaz, Laporte, Cancelo, De Bruyne, Rodri, Silva, Mahrez, Foden, Sterling. So completely full strength, basically. That is the full strength City team. Are you tempted to change that now you've got this news, or?
I don't think so. I'll look into the forums and I jumped the way of aggregation post that Emma does, I think her name is, for a bit more information. But I Grealish and Jesus are only back in training, I think, the last couple of days. Now, traditionally, Pep gives them a bit more training time before throwing them straight in. And there is a cup match against Peterborough coming up next week. Now, I think that seems to me more a game that you would bed someone like, certainly Jesus in, because Jesus has been out for quite a while, I think. I think he's been out the longest. So maybe they'll get extended runs against Peterborough. The one sort of fly in the ointment is that they got beat last week, and I think, were you saying this in your Pro Pundit article, that Pep generally reacts when they get
4
defeated.
to 5 changes the last 3 times they've lost.
So I mean, obviously sometimes it's horses for courses. Sometimes it's because he has a full squad at his disposal. We're not quite sure how fit Grealish and Jesus are. I mean, the flags come off and Pep says they're available for selection, but that doesn't necessarily mean starters. So you can choose to believe what you want to believe. If you're free hitting, you probably think, they're going to be substitutes. If you're not, you're thinking, I'm glad I'm not free hitting this week because there's too much rotation risk involved. But yeah, my inkling is I'm going to stay with the same front three. That's not to say that I think Mahrez comes back in, because he was on the bench last week and he came off to score. Foden may be the most at risk. I think he hasn't quite been at it of late, not at his absolute best. You could say the same about got a number of them in that Spurs game. But that's the doubt we didn't need. There was another line. I think there's a few Ukraine-based players or Ukrainian players who are in the Premier League they were all asked the question today. I think obviously Zinchenko was one of them. There's Michaelenko at Everton and Yarmolenko at West Ham as well. So all managers saying that they've talked to the players and then they'll make a decision on whether they want to be involved for obvious reasons. There's more important things on their minds at the moment.
Yep. Okay. Interesting. I don't know if that helps anyone in the chat, to be honest, but that is the news. Yep. We can't do much more. I agree with you. I think Mahrez is probably the safest bet if I was going to pick one. But yeah, it's. I'm definitely, as a non-free hitter, thinking there's going to be a rotation, and I'm glad I'm not not investing too heavily in it. Okay, the final match then for the final teams. There's obviously another match with Burnley, but West Ham versus Wolves, and I can relate to Vladimir Soufal because he's out for a few weeks for hernia, which I've been diagnosed with now. Yes. Yeah, nice and lovely.
That's right. Yeah, it's not a pleasant thing, is it? It's a hernia. So get well soon, as.
Yeah, thanks, mate.
Yes, he's out for a couple of weeks. He's had surgery on this troublesome groin injury, hernia, and he's out for a few weeks, as I said. Ogbonna and Masuaku are still out. Nothing on Lanzini in the broadcast section today that I saw. I mentioned Yarmolenko there. He's been given a couple of days off by Moyes for understandable reasons. So not a great deal Moyes can do with it. He doesn't tend to change much anyway. Vlasic, as a guess, could come in. Lanzini, will see if he's fit. But I do think there might be a change at right back, and that would involve Ben Johnson coming back in your erstwhile budget option, who I think have you get rid of now?
No, I've got him. I need him.
Well, he might start because obviously Soufal's out. Frederick started last weekend and had a really bad first half against Newcastle and got tore another one down that left flank. And he came off at half time and Johnson came on. And there's a lot of West Ham fans suggesting that Johnson should get the nod. That doesn't necessarily mean he will. But I've gone with him in my predicted lineup. And he was much better than Fredericks. In both of them were given 45 minutes each. And Johnson looked the better option. So we'll see.
I'd be so pathetically happy if Ben Johnson started this game. It would just be absolutely ridiculous. And finally, is Wolves. I've got a picture of what I think is a confused Bruno Lage, question mark, because we don't have any news from them because it's embargoed, right?
Yes, yeah, that's right. He was given his press conference last night, straight after the Arsenal game, and part of that is embargoed. So it wouldn't be much use anyway because he wouldn't have. Actually, I've just seen the news come through actually on Wolves' website. There we go. What great timing!
Oh my god!
I've just seen a quote and it says we don't have Semedo, so he is out. That was going to be the one piece of news I was bringing you. He came off in that match, and it always looked a doubt, with the turnaround. But Bruno Lage saying that he's out, so we're going to find solutions. He says he's highlighting Johnny, who came on for him, can play on the opposite flank, of course.
Johnny, I forgot about him.
Yeah, you would think. Obviously, we thought when he came back he's going to be a threat to Aït-Nouri and Marcel, but he is right-footed.
Yeah,
so he can play. He can play on his natural side. There's also now, forgive the pronunciation. Is it Kijana Hoover?
I call him Hoover because it's Hoover's up points.
He's there's a bit of a vacuum there for him to fill if he does come in. But those are the two options, and Bruno is talking about those two. So that was the one injury concern to come out of the Arsenal game last night. Apart from that, they had a fully fit squad yesterday, so they had the likes of Neto's been back as well. I think Body's back in training. Everyone's come back recently. Johnny being one of them as well. So they've got other than Semedo, I think they've got a fully fit squad.
Jimenez's booking was hilarious, wasn't it?
Yeah, he just basically saying, I wonder if he's I wouldn't allege this of anybody, but you might have put a cheeky bet on him being booked in the nth minute.
Yeah,
and screaming, "Please book me!"
Bit of a Neale claiming
not a serious accusation before he's
Neale claiming that Jimenez is involved in match fixing. Excellent end to the same news stream. Perfect, Neale. Thank you so much. As always, you're not free hitting this week, are you? Neither of us are.
I am.
Oh, you are? Oh, God. Okay.
Could I interest you in a bit of Leicester team news as well? Because Leicester's playing on Tuesday.
Oh, absolutely. You can. I forgot about them. Oh, yeah, because they've only got one game. Yeah. It's confusing, that, isn't it? Because you see Burnley and you see, and Leicester. And Give me a bit of Leicester news.
So
please do.
They're playing in the second double game week fixture, but for Burnley, but it's their first. So we haven't got any information from Rodgers in terms of a standalone Game Week 27 press conference. But luckily, they were in European action last night, so we've had a bit of team news from Rodgers over the last few days, both before and after that trip to Denmark. And we might, I emphasise might see Vardy for the first time this year.
Ooh.
He was, as of last Sunday, he was 7 to 10 days away. So doing some quick maths, that would mean he's in contention. He's back in training anyway. We know he's back in training. So he could be back for this one, possibly on the bench at first. James Justin's also a possibility to come back. He was a week away as of the Wolves game. So those two are the possibilities. Barnes is back. He came back last night from a hamstring problem. Pereira was rested as well. So the only ones that we know of are definitely injured are the longer term ones like Bertrand, Evans and Castagna. Fofana's back in training, but he won't be risked just yet.
Excellent. Yeah, my apologies to Leicester fans. I completely forgot that they had that game. They conceded 23 shots to Randers last night.
Did they?
Which
I did see the ratings from the game in the Mercury saying that they didn't have a very good performance. But
no,
yeah, wow.
I mean, I don't even know. No disrespect to Randers fans, I don't even know where they are from. Where are Randers? Do you know where Randers are from? Denmark. Okay. Yeah. But 23 shots to a Danish side is got to be pretty alarming.
Definitely Captain Beggold now.
Yeah, and Leicester are the worst defensive side over the last 6 in terms of expected goals conceded. Yep. Okay, final question for you. As you're on the free hit, I didn't realise you were on the free hit. Which City players have you got on your side?
I did have Mahrez, Cancelo, and Sterling. I'm thinking of changing Sterling to De Bruyne if I can. That's a big budget hike. Actually, it's not as big as it used to be because De Bruyne has dropped to I think 11.9 as of last night. So if I can find an extra 1.2, I might go with De Bruyne. Mahrez will stay, Cancelo will stay. But yeah, it's annoying. I would have still pressed the free hit because I wasn't in great shape. I could have just about got 11 out, but Gray was amongst them, and he's not going to start by Lampard's reckoning. King, of course, we're not sure if he's going to start. He was an injury doubt. I've got McAllister as well. We don't know if there's COVID cases at Brighton. So I had a few fires to fight, and I've got 2 free hits. You know, if it was my last one, I wouldn't have used it, but I looked upon this as a luxury because I didn't have Kane. I didn't have any City midfielders or attackers. No Broha, no United or anything like that. So I did think this was a good time to use it, but annoying that City team use. Very annoying.
You might have saved my free hit with that Ben Johnson news.
Damn it! I shouldn't do that more.
How ridiculous is that?
Catch anyway.
Awesome stuff. Well, Neale, thank you so much. I'll see you again for the team news next week. Good luck in the game week, and good luck to everyone watching. And let's all hope that Livramento starts tonight.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Yep. Goodbye.